I can see us talking. Yeah.
Who knows? Welcome, everybody. It is Emily with Wellness for Generations, and we are interviewing Megan today. She owns Fuel Your Intention, and she is listed on our directory. She's one of my favorite people. I love everybody on the directory, but certain people I definitely look to as experts, and she is one of those people I look to as an expert, especially when it comes to supplements and any type of medications, because she has a history in the pharmaceutical industry. So anytime I'm looking at a new supplement or something like that, I'm like, Megan, what do you think about this? And she gives me her honest feedback. So it's been really awesome, and we have definitely developed an awesome relationship, and I'm excited to be sharing her with you guys today. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you, darling. I think it's funny that you say that, like, everybody's looking for a supplement, right? Like,
Yeah.
So when they find out that I used to work in the pharmaceutical industry, that's like the first thing.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm bloated. What should I take? Hey, I have this. What do you think?
Yep.
Totally true.
Totally. So go ahead and share a little bit about your story and kind of what brought you to here and whatever you want to share.
Well, I guess coming from the pharmaceutical background into holistic nutrition, I guess there's a bit of a story of like how that fucking happened. I got into pharmaceuticals because I wanted to get into healthcare. I was quite sick as a child, not a child, like an adolescent. Like when I went into high school, that's kind of when it all went downhill for me. So my immune system was shot. I had weight fluctuations. I couldn't figure out why. I just kind of felt sick, like nauseous, like, just kind of bleh all the time, super bloated. But I also had like shingles when I was 16. My doctor was like, dude, this is old person's disease. Like, what's happening? So like nobody really knew what was going on. Right. And I was like thought of, and obviously like your Western medical doctor is typically, I think it must be like in like doctor school 101 that you're not allowed to say, I don't know. So if they don't know, then they give you some like bullshit excuse, or they make you think you're crazy, like you're a hypochondriac or you're fine, go home, So because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and then anything they tried me on, because we're all guinea pigs, right? So anything they try you on, I went into like convulsions due to a migraine medication. So I'm like, dude, I'd rather have a headache, than go into convulsions for 2 hours on the couch because of this medication.
Yeah.
So I got into pharmaceuticals because I wanted to figure out how to fix it myself. If doctors don't know what to prescribe, then I'm going to go make a drug and then prescribe them myself. So I wanted to get into pharmaceutical chemistry to learn how they were made and then be a pharmacist, because that's where I thought healthcare was, right? Like I thought healthcare was pills and doctor's appointments and prescriptions and that sort of thing. And then I realized halfway through my pharmaceutical chemistry degree that it's sick care and that we're all being lied to, and they're not looking for cures, they're looking for customers. And the best way to create a customer is to essentially ignore symptoms until they become a chronic disease. And then instead of treating the symptom, which is what they do, I see things as like, well, let's look at the whole person. Let's figure out which domino fell first. Because really, there was so many unanswered questions when I was going through school in chemistry that it got me questioning, like, well, where is this missing piece? Like, what else is missing, right? So when you study all the biological pathways and you're like, oh, but, there's magnesium and B3 in here. So what happens? Where did that come from? And we're just told it's in your food, right? Water is the universal solvent. So we're just told to ignore it because it's always there. But then sitting in pharmaceutical school, like being told that it's just in my food, I go home and I'm like, well, it's not, magnesium's not listed on my box of Lucky Charms. My Uncle Ben's doesn't say anything about zinc. Like where's all this water that you say I'm ingesting? Like where's all this coming from, right? Because I'm looking at my own diet being like, I don't drink water, I drink coffee, get myself through school,
Yeah.
So but I suffered with insomnia and I suffered with all these things. But luckily, I guess, I wasn't quite sick enough for doctors to really take me seriously, which is really what put me on the path to real healthcare. And that's like what you eat and how you move and how you think every day. So I did go back to school. I'd honestly say I'm definitely a professional student. I'm continuously learning. Like, if you're not learning and growing, then you're dying. So I'm definitely on the idea that you must keep learning, because the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And I realize that, like, stupid people are the only people that think they know everything. So, you know, just walk away from those people.
Yes.
So I'm on the path of this lifelong learning, thinking like, well, okay, if pharmaceuticals isn't the way, then what is, right? That's where, like, I left school and was like, whoa, what do I do? Because I wanted to get into healthcare, not sick care. So now there has to be healthcare somewhere. What is it? Long story short, realized you can't out-train a poor diet, no matter how dairy-free your protein bars are. So after, like, personal training and then studying and loving holistic nutrition and realizing that was one of the missing pieces, not the missing piece. It was definitely one of them, though. Because if your guts are unhealthy, then your brain's unhealthy. And this whole talk about mental health drives me nuts, because it's really about gut health. At the end of the day, that's what's happening. And we're being overfed and undernourished. And we all wonder why we're sick. You know what I mean? And it's really like, you're not sick, you're thirsty, because it's all the stuff that they're ignoring in Western medicine and the pharmaceutical world, that it's those basic building blocks, you know? So that's how, like, it's just a continuous learning, and I'm my own guinea pig. Like, it's all about trial and error for me. I won't ever recommend something I haven't tried myself. So I know that it works and why it works, and I have to understand it, not just regurgitate, right? So it really comes from, I guess the whole idea is that I first wanted to be a marine biologist. I wanted to save the whales. I was all about nature and loved being outside. But then there's no money in that, right? So your parents push you into something else because there's no money in that. But it wasn't really about money for me. It was all about saving the planet, you know? And I was like, well, okay, if I can't save the whales, I'm going to save the people so that they can save the whales. Like, it was all this indirect way to, like, save the whales, you know? So it was all about, like, let's protect Mother Earth, because I could see, I feel like I can see the things that people often can't see, like the connections that people don't see, you know? Like, the sugar intake I had yesterday is going to cause my headache today. Those sorts of things that most people don't see, because I hit my hand with a hammer, therefore it hurts, you know? But if I eat something that causes inflammation and makes my knees sore tomorrow, nobody looks at that stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? But there's a ripple effect, and it takes time for those ripples to show. So that's where it really came down to, I wanted to study and be involved with real healthcare, right? And that comes down to, you are what you eat, movement is medicine, and you have to sleep and breathe. Like, Mother Nature takes care of us. We just have to step out of our own way and actually let her.
Right.
So that's how this kind of all came to be.
I love it. So you said you struggled some with, like, health problems when you were young. Were you taught a healthy lifestyle growing up?
I would say sort of, but only from the standpoint of, like, it was still the 80s. We didn't have, like, tablets putting us to bed, you know? Right. So I did play outside.
Yeah.
A lot. But I grew up in two very different worlds. Like, my dad lived in the country where we got to build tree forts and ride four-wheelers and go walk in the woods and watch deer and, you know, just be with nature. We also had, like, a chicken farm. I had over 70 chickens that I got to go and play with and get their eggs and fresh, you know, stuff. Right. And we had 3 horses. So, like, I loved the farm, but my mom lived in the suburbs, and I loved hanging out with my friends, you know, everywhere you go. We knew where everybody was based on how many bikes were in the neighborhood or on the lawn, you know, in the neighborhood. So we just got to play outside a lot. So yes, we were told to, I thought of healthy things because my mom cooked from scratch, and we were told to play outside. But I also, when I got to high school, worked at a big box store. So I worked in Canada, they're Loblaws usually, some sort of superstore, right? Like, I worked there, and then kind of forgot that vegetables grow in the garden and not at the grocery store. You know what I mean? I kind of get away from it because you're not taught this is why, right? I grew up with horses and a garden. I didn't really associate that my peas in the garden were going to be any different than the peas in the grocery store. Right? So then when I start eating food from the grocery store, and then I started getting headaches, I'd get migraines like clockwork. And then luckily my doctor was a little forward thinking in the sense of like, okay, maybe you need to take a look at your diet. But that was because she was on her own weight loss journey. Right. Like I just got lucky there. Yeah. Most of the doctors I went to either shushed me because I was like a hypochondriac, or they didn't know and they wouldn't admit that. So they made me feel like I was crazy. Right. So like, and it was hard things to deal with, especially as a teenager, like severe cystic acne to the point where like I was in pain and it would be around my jaw and it just hurt to eat. I was also, because of all like this stuff that was going on with me, I was super, I'd say insecure, but more from like a self-image, not like a look what I can do sort of. So it was definitely a self-image of like, I wore makeup, like heavy makeup. I became a makeup artist actually because of my own insecurities and all that stuff. So I definitely didn't grow up like, you know, with quinoa and kale salad, but I grew up with the underlying knowing what real food was and the difference between like real mashed potatoes and boxed mashed potatoes. Yeah. But I definitely didn't understand the connection and how deep of a connection you are what you eat.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? As much as we all like theoretically, we think we know that, how much do you actually know what that means? Do you know what I mean? And I found out real quick that I did not know what that meant.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's really cool though. Like, I mean, we grew up on a farm, not non-working farm, but, you know, 4-wheelers and all of that, totally relate to that. It was a fun life to grow up. And that's what we really are hoping to offer John at some point in the near future.
Needs it. We are nature deficient, honey. Like we need nature 100%. And I moved to Toronto and I was like the country girl because I'd thank the TTC drivers as I get off the streetcar and stuff. My friends would be like, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm like, what? He got me here safely. Yeah. People, what is wrong with you? So I'm like smiling at people, everybody thought I was crazy. No, just country girl.
Yep. I love it. So let's shift a little bit and share with us what Fuel Your Intention is and kind of what you do with that, programs you offer and that kind of stuff.
I'm going to like weave in the mission as well, just to kind of like, so overall, like I'm a holistic nutritionist, personal trainer. I teach yoga, mindfulness, came from the pharmaceutical industry. So like, obviously I'm into healthcare. I'm into how to take care of your body. But what I've realized is I can't do it for you.
Right.
Right? I've worked in gyms for years and people come in and they're like, sweet, I have a gym membership in my wallet and now I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm like, oh, honey, no, you have to show up, you know? Or they'll join with personal training and they're like, you got your work cut out for you. I'm like, you do.
Yeah.
They want to gift it away. You know, they want to give somebody else the responsibility of like, here, take care of me for me. And that's where Fuel Your Intention comes in, because it is about, I'm a fire starter. Like anyone who's ever met me or been 5 minutes in the same room with me knows that I am fiery. I am passionate. I am very pitta, if you follow Ayurvedic. Very, very like, so what I want to do is inspire your fire, right? Like I want to, but not just that. I want to inspire the fire that it takes to nourish your body. You know what I mean? And really feed your soul so that you can fuel your intention. Because if we don't live with intention, you're just aimlessly wandering around like a zombie all day. And that doesn't ever feel good, no matter what you've done, right? You can accomplish so many things, but if it's not aligned with what you love, fuck it.
Yeah.
Right? And like we don't feel good at the end of the day. Whether it's like, I don't care if you served food at a soup kitchen. If you'd rather be playing with kittens at an animal shelter, the soup kitchen doesn't need you. You know what I mean? You have to do what you love because you're just spreading negative energy around if you don't, right? So it is about inspiring the care it takes to nourish yourself, right? Like you have to care about what you put in your body. I can't tell you what to eat if you don't understand what's in your food and why I'm saying what I'm saying, right? If you don't understand the basics of why sleep is necessary, that's what you come to me for, and I will show you why sleep is necessary. But it's really up to you to prioritize whether you go to bed on time. Right? So the whole point is I'm here to inspire the fire that it takes to fuel your intention, to nourish your body, to feed your soul, and to really like show up for you every day. Mm-hmm. Because if I can't do it for you, so I have to show you why it's so important for you to do it.
Right.
Sense?
Yeah.
And it is about like, Hippocrates was right when like, let food be thy medicine, but movement is also medicine. Mm-hmm. How you move your body and how you think is also, it can go in a negative downward spiral or a positive, impactful, like healthful one.
Right.
And in terms of the priorities of thinking, I want to get out of sick care and I want to shift away from like cancer awareness and weight loss and all these negative connotations. And I want to focus on wellness awareness and health gain instead of, so it's just it's a matter of perspective and shifting focus and working smarter, not harder, because that drives me nuts.
Yes. Yes. That's one of the things I'm working on as of this week. I'm working on simplifying some things. So yeah.
And I'm like the laziest person ever. So if I can simplify this shit, I will. And like, if we can work together to simplify it better for you, let's do it. Like I am the laziest person ever. So anybody's like, oh, I don't have time, I'm too tired, I'm like, I can. No.
Yeah. Totally get it. I'm very lazy. I love being lazy.
We're innately lazy. We are innately lazy. The human body is innately lazy. We just gotta own it, sister.
Yes. So do you want to share a little bit about your program that you have been working on?
Yeah. So I think I said to you last time, like entrepreneurs are going to change the world, right? We're the free thinkers. We're the ones that have stepped outside of the box a little bit and away from, under the thumb of the man and been like, no, we have the courage and the bravery to do this ourselves. Mm-hmm. So what I want to do is basically help entrepreneurs prioritize their health so that they can rock their fucking business, because you cannot run a business or rock one if you're tired or you're dead.
Yeah.
So my mission and the purpose of and we're still playing with the name, it's Get Shit Done, but it's like get the right shit done is like the little tagline. And then what it is, hopefully we're playing with either like level up and look good or level up and feel good, but it's either way, you get to level up. Yeah. We're gonna show you easy, simple, and sequential steps to take, because like we said before, if you're not breathing, you're dead. So we got to make sure that we're doing things in a priority sequence. Yeah. You can't go to HIIT training if you're dead and you're not breathing. So priority sequence, right? But it's a matter of getting those entrepreneurs to prioritize their healthcare and not just their business, because those are the people that are going to change the world. And then on the flip side of that, because children can't pay me, I am on a mission to teach the kids how to grow their own food, because it is a lost art. When I walk into a grocery store and the little girl behind me says, what do we need farmers for when we have grocery stores? I want to slap her mother. But on the forefront of that, it's like, no, mom doesn't know either, obviously. So I got to educate these people as to where their food actually comes from and where it should be coming from. Right? Because like big corporations, we're not going to name any names because I can go on forever. But at the end of the day, there's really no food at the big box grocery store. Mm-hmm. Like you do have to get to know your farmer. You do have to go to the farmer's market. You do have to get to know the people who grow your food, because they're the ones loving on it. And then you get to eat that, right? I don't want my food. I'm a food snob. I'm a coffee snob. I'm a water snob. I'm just a snob when it comes to the things I put in my body. That includes social media and all the news and all the crap that no, I don't watch that. Yeah. We got to make sure because the blind pilot, she talks to us, right? It's just got to be careful what she's saying. So I don't remember where I was going with that now. I've lost my train of thought. Blind pilot. Food trucks. Right. Yeah. Going on the fact that I'm a food snob. Yeah. I'm definitely aware of there's little to no nutrition left in a broccoli stalk that's been picked 6 weeks early and then sat on a frozen food truck for you know, however long, and then sat in the back room of the grocery store, and in between there, sprayed and unsprayed and blah, 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 with tons of chemicals. And then they sit on a grocery store shelf under fluorescent lights in the dark.
Yeah.
Or in the dark.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, where's the nutrition? And we all think we're doing something so good because, oh, I bought my fruits and veggies this week. But meanwhile, you might as well eat the cardboard box that your cereal came in.
Right.
You know, it breaks my heart because the one time that I can get somebody to actually eat produce, it's either good intentions go to die in your crisper drawer, or we're just not getting the nutritional punch that we're supposed to be getting from these foods.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where growing your own is literally like, I can't eat grocery store food anymore. It's like, it tastes like the plastic that it's wrapped in. It's just gross. You got to grow your own. So that's, And aside from teaching entrepreneurs how to be healthy, it's basically teach families how to grow their own food.
Yeah. Just to touch on that, I went to a seminar one time done by a semi-local naturopath, and he took one of those, like, I don't even know, it was like some type of nutrient meter thingy, and like stuck it in it. We were at a buffet restaurant, was where it was held, and he just like pulled one, you know, from the salad bar and tested that, and like tested one that he had grown, and it was amazing the difference that like there was like literally no nutrition in the tomato that was there at the salad bar. It was so fascinating. But that's
every once in a while I'll bring my niece into the grocery store and I'll get her to pick an apple, just any apple you want, and then I get to pick we'll get her to pick whatever apple in the same that it's organic. And like every single time we get home and we cut it all up and move it all around, and she can still pick the organic one because it tastes fresher. It looks different. Like the apple is always juicier looking. So it's always like a shinier on the inside, but then it's that smell that hits you. So usually apples are stored for like a year and they just kind of sit in cold storage. So the apples that you have like now are last year's, or they're coming out now, right? Like they don't, like, people,
everything's fresh.
But people think that strawberries are available all year because they're at the grocery store. They're not. Strawberries have a season. We just happen to ship them from the places that have the season.
Right.
And that's what breaks my heart, is because we got to eat local. Like, I don't know anybody who can grow bananas in January in Ontario. We got to stop eating bananas in January in Ontario. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Totally get it. Totally get it. So shared a little bit about your program and stuff and your passion for food. Is there anything else you're excited about or anything new going on?
Other than a new clinic opening up in Kingston, I'm super excited that like hopefully there'll be some like a full medical team that's actually behind some people at this place. It's like an actual integrated clinic, the online course. But I'm super pumped that we also bought a 1966 Airstream and we're going to travel forever, because I've moved 35 times in less than 35 years and I am sick of it. So I am going to travel full time and hopefully come visit you. So exciting. And then also, just like I said, that's kind of the mission, is go around and teach kids how to grow their own food at their local place, whether it be, you know, a local community center or a school. I also teach mindfulness and stuff like that. It's hard to teach kids yoga because yoga is hard as it is, but really the purpose of yoga is to get the wiggles out so you can sit in meditation. So do that. Yeah. Go exercise and wiggle and just get the wiggles out, because your body benefits from movement, but your mind benefits from stillness. So a little note to the entrepreneurs: anyone who ever feels like they do not have enough hours in the day, remember, you have enough hours. You have as many hours as Beyonce does. So if she can get some shit done, you can get some shit done. But it's all a matter of prioritizing. So if you don't feel like you've had enough hours in the day, sit and breathe for a minute, because you've probably just not had enough moments of stillness. Yeah. And by that, I really mean like deep breaths, like full 100%, like all the way around 360 degrees around your rib cage should expand and contract as you breathe. And that's really like the first and foremost thing, because you can't do anything unless you're breathing, but you also can't get anything done. Like, you can't move that needle, so to speak. You can't go anywhere really without knowing where you're starting from. And knowing where you're starting from, the only time you can really be present is when you're paying attention to your breath.
Right.
So be present, figure out where you are starting from, and then try to figure out what you need. Not what you need as in like what you want, right? Because like I want a mocha frappuccino.
Yeah.
Do I need that? No. I need a hug and, some plants. You know what I mean? Like we have to figure out what it is that we actually need. You don't need a piece of chocolate cake. You probably just need a glass of water and a hug, right? But we have to be honest with ourselves. I think that's my strength and my downfall at the same time, is like I'm honest to a fault. So don't ask me if you don't want an honest opinion. Like legit, don't ask because I will give it to you. But but make sure that you can be honest with yourself, because I think that's our biggest downfall as human species, is that we lie to ourselves. The blind pilot justifies anything and it will. Right? And we have to pay attention to whether it's justifying us to serve us in a good way or a bad way.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can justify why sitting and watching Netflix for 3 hours is a good idea.
Totally.
I can totally justify that. Oh, I've had a hard day, my week, oh my God, it's like, Wednesday, I gotta do it, like whatever. It's Netflix Wednesday, right? That's a thing. You can't really justify anything, right? It's a matter of what you're justifying. Are you justifying that I have to go to bed right now because it's bedtime? Or are you justifying I have to scroll for 3 more hours because it's bedtime? So it's you have to figure out where you're starting from, and you have to be honest with yourself when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
And then if anybody wants to know how to grow their own food, let me know.
So our 2 final questions. What do you believe the key element to moving the needle in your health is? Just that one thing that people could start with.
Other than figuring out where you're physically starting from and what you actually need, is probably drink more water. It is the underrated nutrient in the world. One, we're just polluting it every chance we get, or we're trying to monetize it. Plastic, like water bottle companies don't produce water, they produce plastic bottles. So we need to be a lot more, I want people to be in love with water. Like legit, I need people to be in love. We all need people to be in love with water, because water is life. Like water is what makes you function. And I firmly believe that you're not sick, you're thirsty. And if we just gave water the credit it was due, we probably wouldn't do to it what we're doing. You know what I mean? We wouldn't sell it to Nestle for pennies so that we could buy it back off them for $4. And we wouldn't be like polluting it, and like, it wouldn't be sitting in our toilets for us to pee in. You know what I mean? Like it should be a lot higher standard. Like it just should be, we shouldn't be ignoring it because it's the universal solvent. We should be like celebrating it because it is, like we shouldn't be thinking like, oh, it's just there. No. If it's involved with every function, you can't just think it's there. It has to be there, So it's one of those things that like definitely pharmaceutical industry does not realize that you probably have less of a headache because of the water you took your Advil with, not because of the Advil. There is no such thing as an Advil deficiency. You're just dehydrated.
Yeah.
Bet you $100.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Yes, drink more water. On that topic, do you have since you're a water snob, do you have a recommended filter? Or because I just remembered that you do. So what filter do you recommend?
I am obsessed, like literally obsessed with my Berkey water filter. If anybody wants, I have what's it called? Like a promo code. It's FYI5. It's 5% off. You can also go to my link. I can put it up on the comment below. Yeah. So it's the Berkey water filter is literally the best thing I've ever come across. But it's also like you can filter pond water with this thing, like any fresh water source whatsoever. You could even filter like gray water, which I probably wouldn't do, but it's not recommended because of the soapy contents would actually clog the filters. But the filters are good for like 5 years. Yeah. So just don't mess up your filters. And like this thing has come with us everywhere. Like every time we go to the city for a conference, I pack up that Berkey. It comes with me everywhere. I literally get tables at vendor shows, like at Get Healthy Kingston or something like that. We'll set up a vendor table just to place our Berkey there, just to tell people that you're not sick, you're thirsty. Here's a cookie. Like, I literally just hand out like gluten-free, dairy-free cookie samples and then be like, isn't it delicious? Drink some water. Yay. Like, that's it. I don't sell anything. I just stand there and be like, you're not sick, you're thirsty.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's water is definitely the best thing ever, and it's got to taste good. So that's where the Berkey is the first filter I've ever found that actually filtered out fluoride, which is, as a chemist, it's like almost impossible. It's really, really, really hard to filter out fluoride. And Berkey's found a way. So I love it.
Yeah, I need to, that's been on my list since like we got married, and I still don't have one, but I do want to get one. I'll have to boost that up.
Well, now you can save 5% on my link.
I will.
Because I've been like, and they kind of approached us, like I promoted them for so long for just being like, you guys are awesome, that Simon was like, hey, you guys happen to have like a thing that we could give our tribe? And they were like, actually, yes.
Nice.
So it was pretty fabulous. Yeah. So that works out because like I'm just in love. Yeah. Like, and they have all different sizes and stuff. And they're gravity fed, so like you don't have to like keep it in the fridge or plug it in. It doesn't take up any space. It's just like a small amount of counter space. And they have stands for them and everything. Like, they're fabulous. Love them.
And the last question, what is one change that you would like to see continually passed down through the generations?
It breaks my heart that home ec has been taken out of school. So that's pretty much it. I would love like kindness and morals and like life skills, you know, common sense. I swear, died in the mid 80s. I don't know. So I would like common sense to come back, but also just like morals and human kindness and human decency and, you know, some self-awareness. But I think that all comes with spending time in nature and growing your own food.
Yeah.
Like, all of that really does stem from getting your hands dirty and, you know, planting some lettuce. And whether you live in the city, like you can get a tower garden, you can get like, you can grow your own little plot of land, you can do raised beds, you can do balcony beds. Like, there's no excuse. There's literally no excuse. I've grown kale in pots up until like February in Ontario. So like, no excuse whatsoever. Grow your own food.
Yes. And where can people find, is there anything else you want to like mention before you?
The biggest thing is I think we need to take our responsibility back. You know what I mean? We need to stop looking for the guru. And I know this stems from our childhood when we all just wanted to be adults. So no one can tell me what to do. But now we're just spending our entire adult lives looking for someone to tell us what to do. And we're shushing the guru that we have that's telling us exactly what we need to do. Not what worked for your neighbor, what worked for boss man, or what worked for that lady, celebrity, whatever. I don't care about them. You know what I mean? And nor should you. You need to start listening to you. Because it's like if you were gifted this little puppy, or if like you are still a child and you're shushing her, you know, you're literally breaking her heart. Every time you tell her she's stupid, or every time you like think you're not good enough, or every time those things, we need to give some credit for our bodies, but we also need to have that self-love sort of thing first and foremost, because and then the website's being moved, so it'll be a little touchy, but everything is at fuelyourintention.com. And then you can also find me on Facebook under Megan Elizabeth or Fuel Your Intention, and then on Instagram at Fuel Your Intention or at wellness.wizard.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I do have that
one.
You do. Yeah. Cool. Well, I will make sure to post all of those in the comments too. And thank you so much for your time today.
Love chatting, darling.
Yes.
We'll chat soon.
Yes.
Okay. Mwah.